Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode Throne of Seal based on novel. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. So let's start. They were a total of 3 people, with a girl among their group. This girl was clad in a robe of summoner, smiling at what she heard. It doesn't mean we can absolutely not accomplish this. If we manage to advance to the commander grade earlier, our strength will rise greatly. Out of the 10 newly formed demon hunt squads of 5 years ago, only 6 of us are left. The others have all already advanced to the commander grade, so we are the only ones left. The robust warrior they called third brother asked in a low voice, "Sixth sister, do you have a way?" That girl's appearance was average, but she had a sharp look. In a low voice, she replied, "I have a way. Do you remember about what happened half a year after we became a newly formed demon hunt squad? If not for that experience, how would we still not have advanced to the commander grade? We are not even lacking compared to the others." Her fifth brother unhappily replied, "Say no more about that bastard that swindled us, robbing us of all our hardly accumulated points. This was my fault for having been so impulsive. This experience even affected my mental, leaving a shadow behind me. Because of this, I'm still even now stuck in the bottleneck of the 6th step, unable to break through at all. At that time, he swindled our demon hunt squad, giving us a good lesson and trampling on our integrity. When we complained to the Alliance, we hadn't even gotten a single response. Since the Alliance doesn't care, just let them be. Don't tell me we cannot do the same," said their 6th sister. Their 5th brother's eyes were lit. "Are you thinking of?" The girl nodded and continued, "The new batch of demon hunt squads should have already started completing mission. Maybe we will still have a chance. As long as we scrape enough contribution points, and if you try a little harder to break through to the 6th step, we will immediately be able to climb to the commander grade when boss gets back." The third brother wrinkled his brows. "This won't do. We cannot show such a behavior. Wouldn't it be no different from what those guys did?" The girl smiled in response. "Third brother, this is incorrect. It's not necessarily a bad thing that we'll be doing. After having experienced this tragedy, we were a lot more cautious when carrying out mission. You shouldn't forget that the other demon hunt squads that were split up because of casualties weren't any lacking compared to us, but we were the ones who lived through. Thus, this experience was also a good thing for us." The 5th brother laughed and replied, "That's right, 6th sister is not wrong. It's a good deed we are doing by helping those newly formed demon hunt squads to grow on the mental aspect. There's just one thing, 6th sister, where could we find newly formed demon hunt squads?" The girl stuck out her lips to another direction, telling in a low voice, "Look, aren't they coming this way?" The 5th brother looked at the direction she pointed, and really saw a dozen people walking at the direction of the transaction center. Their age was already a proof of their identity. Leading them were a boy and a girl that looked like they weren't even 20 in age, and yet, that youth was holding the girl in his arms. "Fifth brother, the time to make up for your previous mistake has come. Do to these newcomers the same as what they did to us at that time." A glint appeared in the 5th brother's eyes. "Okay, I'm going. Just wait for my good news outer here." As he said this, the 5th brother walked forward with spirited and vigorous steps, in the direction of that dozen young boys and girls. Their target was no one else, but the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad and the 4th Soldier Grade Demon Hunt Squad. Long Houchin was about to reach the transaction center with his group, when suddenly, a sturdy man appeared in their path. "Younger brother, hello. You are newly formed demon hunt squads, right?" The 5th brother stopped Long Houchin, saying this with a smile. Long Houchin unconsciously nodded. They had already advanced to the general grade, but it was still accurate to say that they were a newly formed demon hunt squad. The 5th brother declared with a smile, "Yes, as I thought. It's like this, the mission towers side asked us to look for you, to assign you an internal mission exclusive to your demon hunt squads." "Hello, mister. We are coming back right from a mission. How could they already send us another mission?" Long Houchin asked with some doubts. The 5th brother chuckled, "Don't worry. It looks that you have run into quite big troubles during your last mission. Rest at ease, this mission isn't any dangerous. It is an internal mission, which can be treated as a test for newly formed demon hunt squads like yours." The 2 demon hunt squads stopped over. They could only felt suspicious at hearing this 5 brothers' words. However, the Demon Hunt Transaction Center wasn't a place anyone could go in. It was located in the same area as the Demon Hunt Squad's villas, and its entrance was guarded by powerhouses. It wouldn't be easy for people that don't belong to Demon Hunt Squads to go in there. As this fifth brother said this, he revealed the contribution point tile in his left arm and said, "This is my contribution point tile. I am the warrior from the 8th General Grade Demon Hunt Squad. They call me Fifth Brother, so you can call me by this name too." Seeing this contribution tile, the hesitations of Long Houchen's group were greatly dissipated. Since the other party was a demon hunter, it was a fellow soldier, which naturally decreased their alert by far. "Mister, has the mission tower assigned us with another mission?" Long Houchen asked. Fifth Brother replied, "The mission is very simple. I am the object of your mission. In view of your exceptional performance in your last mission, the mission tower decided to give you an internal mission. This mission can be called a reward mission. If you can complete it, you will obtain a great reward of contribution points. It consists on staking your own contribution points as gamble, and choose someone amongst you to challenge me. If you win, you will immediately earn 10 times these contribution points." Hearing him, Long Houchen's comrades were eager to give it a try. This was a 10 times reward. And furthermore, they had a good confidence towards Long Houchen's power. "Boss, go against him. He's only at the 5th step, so we should still have a chance at it." Lin Shin whispered in a low voice at Long Houchen's ears. Luke 11 remained calm and collected, as he stated, "Mister, can you give us a proof that you are at the 5th step of cultivation? And will you bring your stake?" Fifth Brother smiled to them, "Of course I will bring it. However, according to the rules of the mission, the contribution points you take out cannot be inferior to 1,000. If I win, this will be considered as my reward for the execution of the mission. But I can't intervene for a too low stake either. During the duel, we can have the contribution points we gambled acknowledged to the side of the Alliance's great stadium. Only then shall we start the match." "You are really cautious, youngsters. Are you afraid of me deceiving you or what?" Luke 11 revealed a smile. "Many thanks to you, mister. But we gained these contribution points with difficulty, so we are of course careful about it. Let us discuss it for a moment, before we decide on whether we accept this mission or not. Is that be okay?" Fifth Brother nodded, "Of course it's okay. I'll be waiting for you there. You can look for me after thinking about it between yourselves." As he said this, he turned around and walked to the other direction. After Fifth Brother left, Lin Shin immediately told Long Houchen in excitement, "Boss, such a chance. It's a 10-time contribution point rewards. If we manage to beat him, we will have over 1 million contribution points in the end." Long Houchen was kind-hearted, but not inflexible. Since the other party wanted to bully their side, how could they leave it at that? "I don't have an absolute confidence, because many variables have to be taken into account. Although the opponent is at the 5th step, he should be at the peak of the 5th step right now, and his combat experience won't be inferior to ours." Long Houchen stated calmly. Wang Yuanyuan asked, "Captain, how much confidence do you have to win?" When Long Houchen smiled, his sunlit smiling face caused Wang Yuanyuan to become blank. "I'd say 90%, 90%. Luke 11 stared at Long Houchen with wide eyes. "Houchen, if I may ask, at which rank of the 5th step are you now?" The trust he originally had in Long Houchen actually stemmed from his powerful Mount Haoyue, as well as the light elemental fairy. Long Houchen looked at this fifth brother from afar, should be about the same as him. The peak of the 5th step. Luke 11 took a deep breath. Let alone him, everyone from the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad gave Long Houchen startled looks. At the time they took on the mission of exploring the desolate hissing cavern, Long Houchen's spiritual energy was still only a little more than 3,000, so there was quite a gap before reaching the 9th rank of the 5th step. But after such a short time, he had already reached the peak of the 5th step. What sort of magic was that? Sima Xian fiddled with his fingers, lowering his head towards Long Houchen's ears. Then what are you waiting for, boss? Since someone came to give us a gift, you should accept it. They cannot possibly have 1 million contribution points, but since they managed to reach the level of a general grade demon hunt squad, I estimate that they should have no less than 100,000 contribution points in store. We will just have to take out 10,000 contribution points, this way even if we lose it will be no big deal. Losing what? Do you think our boss could lose? Since he came to swindle us, we will teach him a lesson. Lin Xin said with a very fierce smile. He was currently very excited, and his narcissistic side seemed to have gone rampant. Long Haochen winked an eye. Isn't 10 times a bit too much? How about it, Lin Xin? I'll hand all my contribution points to you, and only keep 10,000 for now. Mr. Fifth Brother, I am willing to accept this mission. Please tell me, how much contribution points do you think I should stake on it? Long Haochen asked respectfully. The fifth brother smiled, bet as many as you wish. It will depend on how many contribution points you have gathered. His fifth brother proudly replied, Third brother, you are really gutless. Don't tell me his age could be faked. Sixth sister, come on. Saying this, he extended his hand towards his sixth sister. The girl raised her hand, from which appeared an exquisite sculpture releasing rich fluctuations of magical power. Without hesitation, she handed it to him. The fifth brother was more straightforward than the third. With this thing, do you think I can still lose? Let's go, third brother. We shall borrow some contribution points. Let's gather those 100,000 contribution points and then go to the night stadium. Long Haochen told his comrades about the arrangement. Let's go then. We should head there first and wait for them to arrive. Lin Xin chuckled in joy. Boss, you go first. I am heading with Captain Luke to the transaction center to take a look. Thinking that he wanted to buy a gift for Li Xin, Long Haochen agreed, leading the others to the night stadium. Lin Xin and Luke 11 looked at each other, and the two of them rapidly headed towards the transaction center. In few short moments, a rumor was spread on the first and the second floor of the center that someone from a newly formed Demon Hunt Squad challenged the fifth brother from the 8th General Grade Demon Hunt Squad. The origin of those news was quite obscure, but the demon hunters present on the first and the second floor quickly heard the news. And reportedly, they were intentionally spread by some people. When Long Haochen arrived at the night stadium, after explaining the situation to Kia on the way, the staff members looked at his arrival with bewildered glances. Still, the staff members naturally wouldn't say anything since this was a matter between demon hunt squads, which they couldn't get involved with. Han Yu said in a low voice, Master, be very careful. The combat experience of those people is very high as they completed many missions as demon hunters. They surely aren't weak in battle. Long Haochen nodded, I know. Sima Xian leisurely remarked, He, old friend, don't be nervous. Waiting for the contribution points to be handed to us is all we have to do is. After the profit we made this time, we will not have to take more missions for the time being, and can calmly wait for our vice captain to recover. Long Haochen smiled at him, I am not absolutely confident, but we newcomers aren't so easy to bully. Even if we don't win, it's no problem since this is a rate of 1 to 10. It was a low amount of contribution points that I betted. Yang Wenjiao confidently replied, then it's good. Just treat it as a sparring match. Still, it's really good to have you as fellow soldiers. I am supporting you at the betting stands. I have already placed a bet of 100 contribution points on you. Betting stands? What do you mean by betting stands? Long Haochen hesitantly asked. Yang Wenjiao had a surprised reaction, isn't this stand opened by you guys? It's Lin Xin. And he was with the captain of the 4th Demon Hunt Squad, Luke 11. That's right, how is it that Lin Xin was together with Luke 11? The betting stands they opened were really large, but if you lose, I'm afraid it will cost you a considerable amount of contribution points. Long Haochen didn't know whether to laugh or to cry when hearing that. What a money grubber. And I had been wondering why he ran off to the transaction center. Was he the one who notified you? Yang Wenjiao chuckled, not only did he notify us, but he also told us to spread the news that those veterans were bullying newcomers. And that after this, even if we don't file a complaint to the Alliance, the other teams of our generation should receive the information to prevent anyone else from being duped again. Rest at ease, Lin Xin is very crafty and opened the stakes at 1 against 30. That's to say, if you lose, it's just a 30th part. Thus, you shouldn't have too much to compensate. Long Haochen revealed a smile, 10,000 contribution points. What? It was not only Yang Wenjiao, even Duanyi on the other side couldn't help but cry out in alarm, you're crazy. Don't you know how much energy we would have to put in to gain 10,000 contribution points? You have not only to think about yourself, but also about your comrades' opinions. Yang Wenjiao's words were closer to a rebuke than a piece of advice. Is the pressure on our captain something you are involved in? This was something we were willing to do, and we aren't afraid of the loss. Chen Ying's dismissive and aggressive voice sounded. Looking at her, Yang Wenjiao had a serious tone. Chen Ying, this is business between Brother Long and myself. Chen Ying did a sudden grimace. Business? Seeing your expression, I'm sure you're just pressuring him, because of the 100 contribution points you betted. And you still have the nerve to come at us. Seeing that Yang Wenjiao's expression was quite ugly, Long Haochen gave Chen Ying a glance. Rest at ease, Brother Yang. Since I dared to bet this much, I have absolute confidence in myself. On the other side, Duanyi suddenly stood up, turned his head and looked quite thoughtful. Yang Wenjiao felt hesitant. Brother Duan, where are you going? I estimate that this fifth brother should come soon. We should put up a strong front to support and applaud Haochen right now. Duanyi gave him a glance. I'm going to increase my bet on Haochen. Having said this, he rapidly headed to the exit. After a short time of surprise, Yang Wenjiao immediately reacted, sending a glance in Long Haochen's direction before standing up as well and heading to the exit. He even walked a lot faster than Duanyi. The night stadium was becoming more and more crowded, and by now, at least 50 people had rushed in. And all the people that came in were exclusively demon hunters. On the 8th Demon Hunt Squad side, 3rd brother, 5th brother and 6th sister arrived together. They were not surprised to learn that people were betting on this duel. Since they were going to profit from it, they could just as well share a bit of this profit with others. Lin Xin and Luke 11 came right behind them, standing side by side next to Long Haochen. Yang Wenjiao and Duanyi were following behind, wearing ugly expressions. Did you start a betting stand? Long Haochen's ardent gaze was directed at Lin Xin. Lin Xin chuckled. Don't worry boss, I know what I am doing. Anyway, the whole amount of everyone's bet was restricted to at most 10,000 contribution points. Thinking of it, he patted Cai's little hand before she nodded in response. Then, he stood up, advancing towards the stadium's entrance. Without any need for him to do anything, the staff member of the night stadium had already invited a temple knight of the 7th step to make sure this match would be fair. Of course, this wasn't done for free. 500 contribution points had to be paid to this temple knight coming from a demon hunt squad, and this amount would be paid out of the winner's pockets. The 5th brother also entered the stadium, wearing an indifferent face, giving a look to Long Haochen, who had already changed into his Holy Spirit armor. He clearly still felt a bit ashamed. Letting a smile appear on his face, he said, Little brother, you can still think this through. Even now it isn't too late if you want to lessen the amount of contribution points you staked. Long Haochen shook his head. There's no need. Since I came here, I will fight with my full strength. Looking at Long Haochen, the expression on the face of this temple knight of the 7th step suddenly became shocked, but it rapidly returned to normal. Nodding to the two of them, he declared, all good. Please hand over the contribution of your bet to me. The two of them transferred their contribution points. The temple knight declared, this is just a friendly match, so in case a party concedes or loses the ability to fight, the opponent is not allowed to keep attacking, let alone killing the other party. If I decide that one of you cannot bear the opponent's attack, I will stop the match. Seeing so many demon hunters watching this match, I believe that what they want to see is a fair match. Long Haochen's hand lit up, and his Holy Spirit sword appeared. He raised it above his left shoulder, before he performed a standard knight salute to this temple knight. The 5th brother also remembered to salute the temple knight, and at his signal, the two parties started to put some distance between them. Start. The temple knight shouted loudly. Long Haochen didn't take out another weapon, only grasping the Holy Spirit sword in his hand. Performing a knight salute, he immediately launched a charge in the 5th brother's direction. The 5th brother was also clad in heavy armor, which was visibly a lot thicker than Long Haochen's Holy Spirit armor. Although it was only a magical equipment, its defensive power was visibly a lot stronger. In his hands was a pair of battle axes. The opponent turned out to be a dual axe-wielding warrior. Facing Long Haochen's charge, the 5th brother laughed out loud, equally advancing with big strides to welcome him. His build was extremely sturdy, and with the addition of his heavy armor, he looked just like an impenetrable wall. Compared to him, Long Houchen visibly looked too weak. Seeing that the two of them were about to collide, the fifth brother swung the axe in his left hand above his head, launching a chop at Long Houchen. He didn't attack with the axe in his right hand yet, keeping it near his body. Facing such a force, contained in this axe imbued with powerful spiritual energy, Long Houchen immediately came to a stop. Parrying with his Holy Spirit sword, he used a standard defensive posture. Divine obstruction. Those words immediately resounded in the fifth brother's mind. Consequently, becoming more cautious, he rapidly waved the axe in his right hand, brandishing it forward and blocked the launched lightning thrust. However, Long Houchen's lightning thrust was truly too fast. His opponent was unable to block it completely, and at least 5 to 6 hits landed on that thick armor, causing repeated metallic sounds. And 5 or 6 dents were left on the armor. Although Long Houchen's blow didn't make use of any other ability, it carried bright vengeance, naturally raising its power significantly. The fifth brother rapidly drew 2 steps back, waving his pair of axes before himself. Intense fluctuations of spiritual energy accompanied this movement, enabling it to block Long Houchen's series of attacks. By now, his evaluation of Long Houchen had greatly risen, and all his contemptuous behavior had vanished. This was a guardian knight able to use both divine obstruction and lightning thrust. And based on his offensive power, he could tell that Long Houchen was truly a knight at the 5th step. But how old could he be? Still, it looked as if in this battle, he would really have to go all out. 2 consecutive sword blows were launched, charged with golden light thorns, blocking the fifth brother's axes. Long Houchen drew closer once again, launching assault. In the middle of assault, Long Houchen suddenly jumped a meter high into the air. This motion was so sudden that even the fifth brother's dual axes couldn't completely lock him up. Moving at great speed, Long Houchen was already behind the fifth brother, and not only avoided his strikes, but also gave himself an opportunity for counterattack. Houchen attacked with lightning thrust. Using lightning thrust again, he was however stopped this time. A strong green-colored spiritual energy resisted him. With several splashing ripples of spiritual energy, his lightning thrust was unable to reach the fifth brother's waist. Suddenly, he seemed to turn into a green tornado, striking in Long Houchen's direction. It was Tornado Strike. With a violent collision, even while using divine obstruction, Long Houchen was sent back flying several meters. But the illusory green glow surrounding the fifth brother seemed to follow him relentlessly. The violent green radiance expanded rapidly, making his figure completely blurry. With bright vengeance glinting on his body, Long Houchen crossed both of his hands, and blue rain, hibiscus of light appeared in his hand. A bright golden light followed, released from his chest, and the condensed liquid spiritual energy expanded outwards, until it completely covered his Holy Spirit armor with a sacred light. Without drawing back, Houchen used divine obstruction to block the attack. He raised his hands in the midst of a hissing sound seemingly only audible to Long Houchen. Thousands of strikes were launched from blue rain with the use of lightning thrust, attacking the enemy in the midst of the green glow. Is he crazy? Seeing Long Houchen's 2 swords launch lightning thrust, everyone seemed to share the same thought. Using lightning thrust to block such a powerful warrior ability as Tornado Strike. This was simply suicidal. Tornado Strike was the most powerful offensive ability a warrior below the 6th step can use. Although it was more suited for crowd battles, its power was extremely terrifying even in a one-on-one situation. Tornado Strike worked in a completely different way than Long Houchen's condemning revolving swords. The latter came with a lesser consumption, because it relied more heavily on one's dexterity, to raise one's power with the help of the enemy's strength. Otherwise Long Houchen couldn't possibly make use of such a powerful ability, when his cultivation level was still only at the 4th step. In contrast with Tornado Strike, Lightning Thorn was merely a retribution knight ability of the 2nd step. When comparing an ability at the early stage of the 2nd step and one that reached the peak of the 5th step, what result could be expected? Even with dual sword, how could he contend against this? Wouldn't this difference in strength just cause his own death? However, the Temple Knight acting as a referee didn't show the slightest sign of wanting to stop the fight. Instead, the look he gave Long Houchen was immediately filled with astonishment. However, when Long Houchen's lightning thorn clashed with the fifth brother's Tornado Strike, each of his blows penetrated deep into the green glow, and in the midst of a series of weird sounds, the thick stabs penetrated into the green fan that was spinning at great speed, The rotating speed of the fifth brother's tornado strike seemed to be reduced by this scattering bright rain. Being forcefully interrupted like this, the fifth brother stumbled and almost fell down. On his armor and the axes, an uncountable amount of deep marks were left. It was fortunate that tornado strike was such a powerful attack, therefore, those traces weren't deep enough to reach his body, but this magical armor was visibly heavily damaged. Did Houchen really only use Lightning Thorn? Of course not. This was a completely newly created ability, which he named Demon Wiping Flash. The prerequisite of this skill stemmed from Lightning Thorn and the marvelous blue rain, Hibiscus of Light. Further adding the use of Long Houchen's self-created ripples of light to it, this was an ability Long Houchen took close to a month to create. Its power could of course not be compared to a lightning thrust. Naturally, its consumption of spiritual energy was also comparable with an ability of the fifth step. More importantly, this ability's greatest advantage was that it applied very fundamental principles, making it possible to combine it with other abilities, like Holy Sword, which was a perfect match for it. Long Xingyu had told Houchen once that if he was to create an ability, the best choice would be to do it by strengthening a basic ability. The reason was because all the complex and powerful abilities were evolved from fundamental abilities. Strengthening a basic ability was the same as strengthening all the related abilities at once. On this day, and during this battle, Houchen attempted to use this ability of Demon Wiping Flash for the first time. Yet this technique easily broke through the fifth brother's tornado strike under everyone's shocked gazes. The most shocked was naturally the fifth brother himself. Although Demon Wiping Flash didn't hit his body, all those faint stabs really passed through his tornado strike. Had his tornado strike just been split like that? From the beginning, the fifth brother was planning on relying on the difference of cultivation to suppress Long Houchen. Long Houchen's previous use of divine obstruction wasn't enough to catch his attention. After all, this signature skill of a guardian knight was mostly a defensive ability. But at the same time, divine obstruction needed a good foresight, as it couldn't be used to defend against any attack without comrades covering the flanks. In a one-on-one battle, it would make one vulnerable to some extent. However, even before the two of them went against each other head-on, both in regards to his weapon as well as his spiritual energy, he was actually the one that had been suppressed. This happened in a very short span of time. Right after seeing Tornado Strike being suppressed, the fifth brother's reaction was immediate. Long Houchen didn't keep meeting him head-on. When confronting two enemies at once, he launched another assault, increased his speed to the peak and passed the metallic puppet and the fifth brother, breaking away from their combined assault. At this very moment, a bright gleam appeared on his chest, revealing the four-winged light elemental fairy Yating. She ascended to the sky, chanting at great speed in a pleasant voice that resonated in the whole stadium. The instant Yating appeared, Long Houchen's body was ignited in holy flames. Following next, Yating displayed her might, revealing the powerful assisting ability of a light elemental fairy at the third stage of evolution. Halo of Faith, Guardian's Favor, Imposing Halo, Spiritual Gathering Halo. It seemed to take only 2 seconds for each of those great supplementary abilities to be completed. On Long Houchen's body, the traces of the 4 halos appeared immediately. Who wouldn't have recognized this light elemental fairy? It was one of the best supportive spiritual stoves, and more importantly, the demon hunters that belonged to the younger elite generation of the Alliance naturally recognized that low-ranked elemental fairy of more than half a meter height. Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi couldn't help but stare blankly. Moments before, Long Houchen's demon wiping flash already caused them to be incomparably shocked, but when seeing the currently evolved Yating, they suddenly realized how much the gap between Long Houchen and themselves had increased. Even with the efforts they made over these past months, they couldn't compare with him. A monstrous sound broke out from the sky, illuminating the whole night stadium in its bright light, just like the sun appearing in the sky. The metallic puppet's massive figure was melted under this dragon cry, and after being enveloped by that resplendent sacred light, it didn't appear again. The fifth brother approached at a very fast speed, and his back shone with a green luster. Violently shooting up, the intense confluence of green light behind him took the shape of a violent tiger, accompanying the swings of his axes, and bombarding the golden sun that appeared in the sky. He knew that this was his last chance. However, many things don't go as one wishes. With a flash, the golden light unexpectedly spread to all directions, causing the glistening sun's radiance to vanish in an instant. The brightness was replaced by a deep blue color, which concentrated immediately in the sword chopping right in front of the fifth brother. A loud bang resounded. With an incomparably powerful explosion, even with his cultivation level, the fifth brother was utterly incapable of contending against this domineering holy elemental spiritual energy that sent him flying over 10 meters. The golden and blue light vanished, revealing Long Houchen's true colors. When he appeared, he was a bit out of breath, his face visibly a little pale. But with the help of Yating's recovery magic, he rapidly recovered. After the period of probing, Long Houchen had discovered that this warrior wasn't really a match for him. The fifth brother's ability was purely based on the use of the wind element combined with his axes. Even after using madness, his internal and external spiritual energy couldn't possibly go above the sixth step. Long Houchen's last blow was the Azura strike that consumed an amount of 1,000 units of spiritual energy. Although he didn't use storing power in combination, Azura strike's terrifying offensive power was still really destructive. If not for the fact Long Houchen started off lenient, the body of the fifth brother would already have been split in two. With dang 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 sounds, 2 split axes fell to the ground. When added to Blue Rain, Hibiscus of Light's sharpness, how could a piece of magical equipment resist against Azura strike? Long Houchen didn't keep fighting, only looking at the fifth brother crawling on the ground slowly. The fifth brother's current appearance was truly pitiable. His armor was completely ravaged and destroyed from the power of magic wiping flash and Azura strike, and he lost his weapons. However, still in a state of madness, his eyes still gleamed with a blood-red color. With a mad cry, he directly rushed at Long Houchen. His third brother and sixth sister were standing at the rest area with pale faces. Their brains had even lost all ability to think. Withdrawing Blue Rain, Hibiscus of Light, and taking out his Holy Spirit shield, Long Houchen took a step forward, readying the Holy Spirit shield to confront him. Blocking him and causing a backlash, he pushed the approaching fifth brother 3 steps back, before also retreating a step backwards. Even in a state of madness, where the fifth brother was unable to use any abilities, his strength was still quite formidable. He didn't lose in regard to his combat experience, but in regard of the control of his spiritual energy, as well as its technical aspects. Long Houchen's self-created ability, and Azura strike, could be called first-rate secret techniques of their rank. Further adding his benefits as the sign of light, and the support of the light elemental fairy Yating, even though the two sides were almost at an equal level of cultivation, how could the fifth brother even stand a chance? The current fifth brother was already close to going mad. Loudly, he yelled, "I cannot lose, I cannot lose." When pushed back, he immediately rushed towards Houchen again, without showing the slightest trace of faltering. In his current deranged state of mind, Long Houchen didn't need to waste any strength. He immediately rushed at him, directly pointing the Holy Spirit sword at his neck. With a dull sound, the fifth brother simply fell to the ground. The whole stadium was in total silence. From beginning to end, this battle didn't last long, and the whole process was rather simple. Suppressing his opponent completely, Long Houchen managed a one-sided victory, giving no chance to his opponent at all. There were almost only soldier and general-grade demon hunt squads that came to watch this match. As a novice demon hunter, Long Houchen managed to defeat another demon hunter of the previous generation, completely disregarding a gap of 5 whole years. Aside from contribution points, in this battle Long Houchen gained the acknowledgement of all those general and soldier-grade demon hunters. The Temple Knight went over to Long Houchen's side, passing the awarded contribution points to him. "Well done. You are quite good, younger brother. From which demon hunt squad do you come?" Long Houchen replied, "The 21st General Grade Squad." "Many thanks to you, senior referee." 110,000 minus 500 contribution points were handed over, transferring into Long Houchen's contribution point tile. Frankly speaking, when seeing the expressions on the faces of the third brother and sixth sister, he felt empathy, and even thought of giving back the contribution points he gained. But in the end, he resisted. It wasn't that he didn't want to return those 100,000 contribution points, but because he couldn't encourage the 8th Demon Hunt squad in their greedy behavior. What would have happened if his squad didn't even manage to gain back their own contribution points? There needed to be a pitiful and a hated side, and how could they have given them a lesson if they lost? In addition, if he returned those contribution points, how would those demon hunters that laid a bet feel? Wouldn't they just believe that this was nothing but an attempt to deceive them all? Long live Captain Long. The members of the 21st General Grade and the 4th Soldier Grade flocked in, rushing into the stadium and surrounding him from all sides. Long Houchen was tossed up in the air by the group of excited youths. The 3rd brother and the 6th sister silently carried their 5th brother to the exit. 21st General Grade, they all heard this. At the General Grade. They were actually already at the General Grade. And this young knight was actually their captain. Lin Xin and Luke 11 quickly calculated their earnings this time, giving the demon hunters that gambled on Long Houchen their earnings. Of course, they were a minority. Duan Yi's and Yang Wenjiao's expressions looked ugly. They received the 3,000 contribution points they gained from the bet on Houchen, but still lost 7,000 contribution points in the final count. The original certain favorites had suffered a crushing defeat, and didn't have much left, leaving in a dejected state. Quickly, Lin Xin and Luke Shi's counted the profit. This time, a total of 230,000 contribution was bet, and after handing over 30,000 of it to the winners, they made a total profit of 200,000 contribution points. Let's go. We should head back. Today won't do if we want to go to the transaction center. Long Houchen waved his hand, picking up Kia, and leading the group back to the villa. Having won so many contribution points belonging to another demon hunt squad, this was obviously not a good time for them to go to the transaction center. Luke Shi's group left in great delight, feeling even more resolute to keep a good relationship with the 21st General Grade Demon Hunt Squad from now on. After Long Houchen's group returned to the villa, seeing the excited Lin Xin, Long Houchen's next words were, "From today onwards, everyone is forbidden to leave the villa. It's self-training for the next 10 days. Lin Xin started, "Boss, why so serious?" Long Houchen coldly swept a glance at him, "If not for your betting stands, we wouldn't have to get this serious." Han Yu reacted, "It was the General Grade and Soldier Grade Demon Hunt squads that participated in the bets that were laid. It seemed as if we cheated everyone else, and to them, 1,000 contribution points is quite a huge number. Demon Hunt squads should treat each other as friends, not enemies. The offense we committed was too heavy. I'm really afraid that we are going to get isolated for that." Chen Yinga seemed unsatisfied. "So it means it's okay if they win, but not if we are the ones to win." Long Houchen replied, "Although it won't be as severe between the new demon hunt squads like us, we should still stay low-key for now. Otherwise, being isolated won't feel good to us. To put it simply, if all demon hunters stopped selling things to us, don't you think we would get affected?" Sima Xian looked pressed, and couldn't help but ask, "Boss, what is it about in the end?" Wang Yuan, who didn't mutter a single word until then, suddenly raised her head, and asked, "Could it be related to the desolate hissing cavern? That tower?" Long Houchen silently nodded. Han Yu took a deep breath, "Boss, I heard grandfather say that this tower was," at this point, his words suddenly came to a stop, but with a resolute voice, he kept going, "I swear that I won't leak out whatever secret master tells us on this day. May heavenly punishment fall upon me, forbidding me eternally from reincarnating if I break this oath." The others also understood the gravity of the situation, and all of them aside from Kia swore an oath. They all realized the seriousness of this matter, while feeling the possibilities Long Houchen's words promised. As he said so, he untied the front piece of his jacket, revealing the pendant of eternal melody on his chest. The Tower of Eternal Rest, known as Tower of Eternity, is something left 10,000 years ago by a necromancer called Elux. This necromancer claims the title of Holy Necromancer and Slumbering Calamity. And this Tower of Eternity is filled with a powerful aura of death. Just like the Saint Knight Head Han Qian said, their team could be called a complete team of princes and princesses. Thus their knowledge was naturally a lot better than that of other people. Hearing the word necromancer from Long Houchen's own mouth, everyone couldn't help but stare blankly. In the depths of their brains, a legend covered in dust seemed to instantly be recalled. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.